Hey guys, this is the Hydro. I am doing part 3 of my account takeover video. I have regeared a number of heroes, and the idea was to primarily increase damage on clan boss. That should also help with dungeons as well. Now, Magic Lettuce is the account that I've been working on, and it looks like he's averaging about 8.5 a key. 8.75, somewhere in that area, based on this 2 key attack on Brutal. I'm going to go ahead and use his other key, put us over on the top chest, and this is the team that I was tweaking and working on. So Brutal is currently void, and we will see how this goes. I think I have everybody set up to auto, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And I am just going to let it run and see if we can break 8.5 a key, which would be lovely. Let's see how it goes. Now, there are some things that need to be changed still, but he did not have the resources for me to do so. Apothecary does not have Giant Slayer, which is a pretty big damage loss, and some of the other masteries aren't optimally set up. But it does look like I'm getting somewhere in the neighborhood of a round and a half to the clan bosses every round. So for a speed composition, that is ideal. The only problem with this particular team is that I don't have any way to cleanse the stun, which throws Jarek off a little bit as far as the Allied Protect goes. But because this is a speed comp we're running, that's not the end of the world. I was a little concerned about not having debuffs up constantly, and that does look like it's going to be a problem. So there is a possibility to make another tweak here and take Royal Guard out and put a solid Poisoner in. We're also having a bit of an issue with attack down, so there's definitely more tweaking to be done here. But like I said, the end goal was to do better than 8.5 a key. I believe this composition is, with the tweaks that I've made, probably going to do considerably more than that. What I'd really like to do is see about 12 to 15 a key, which was what I was aiming for, and I mentioned in the part 2 video, I believe. So we'll see how this goes. It's actually looking pretty good so far. The biggest thing I think is going to be those mastery changes. You definitely want as much War Master and Giant Slayer procs on the bosses you can get, and 100% uptime on that attack down is a big deal. It looks like it's pretty close to that, but it does drop occasionally. But so far, everything's looking pretty good. Typically, speed runs don't take as long as counterattack runs do. And I think the reason that attack down is dropping so consistently is because Jarek has taken the stun. I could maybe have had Benicil take the stun, and that might be worth a try here in the future. But first things first, I want to make sure that the masteries are on point, and it looks like maybe Aothar needs some tweaks to his gear so that he has more defense and or hit points, but preferably defense. So far, this team is remaining solid and consistent. The clan boss is going after the team leader because everybody else is at full hit points. So I'm liking how this looks so far. I feel like some improvements have definitely been made. So to get through most of the game, to get through dungeons, to get through the things that need to be done. Gearing is what's going to get you there. And that's why I spent so much time in parts 1 and 2 going through and gearing and explaining my thought processes as to how I was doing so. Because the end result is always going to be based on how you gear. It looks like with Denisil and Apothecary, Aethar is staying up pretty well. He's a little squishy, but we're just about 5 minutes in, and everything's looking pretty good. Hopefully somebody's got a heal up. There we go. And if Apothecary had crit gloves on, that would have been a full heal on Jarek. Alright, so looks like we're going about 5 minutes. I'm not sure how that's going to factor at this point, but it looks like it's been a pretty decent run so far. The biggest thing is figuring out what I'm going to do about Jerry getting the stun. Some more booking needs to be done. Mastery tweaks would help a lot, but I feel like this is a pretty solid run we have going here. I'm liking how the numbers are coming up. So gearing Aethar with some more defense and possibly some more hit points, I think would help a lot. To keep him surviving. But for a speed composition, we survived a pretty good amount of time. On both of the accounts that I play, I'm fortunate enough to have counterattack heroes, so my teams are counter-tuned, but I started off speed-tuned on both accounts. So I have some experience with it, and it's not quite the progress that I wanted to make, but this is pretty solid. If Apothecary had Giant Slayer, which he currently doesn't, we're looking at him doing 2 or 3 million, so at least based on what I had available and the gear here, I was able to increase his damage, based on his earlier average by about 1,750,000 or so, and that's a pretty significant increase. There's definitely more that I want to do, but I'm going to put some passive time into this, and I'll explain to you guys the type of farming that I've done and the changes that I've made, and we will come back in part 4 and show you a much more solid increase. Again, thank you guys for your time. This is the Hydro, and I will catch up with you soon. Hey guys, this is the Hydro, doing the last video in the Magic Lettuce account takeover series. In this one, I asked him to farm some artifacts so we can go through these, and I'll go through both the new ones that I have up here and some of the old ones laying around, explain the hows, whens, whats, and whys of keeping artifacts and which ones you want to roll and what you want to use and all that fun stuff, and also which ones you want to get rid of and kind of why on that front as well. So for the most part, any of the bottom 3 gloves, chest, and boots that come with a flat stat, with the exception of speed on boots, you're not going to want to keep around. 95% of the time, you're going to get more benefit from percentage-based stats than you will off flat stats. That's just how it is. The math has been done. I've researched it pretty extensively, so that's what's up there. So I'm going to start by going through these new artifacts, and we'll talk about these a little bit. Because his artifact collection is not super impressive, I'm going to loosen up the strictures of what I would normally keep or sell, and hopefully add to his collection a little bit, at least give him some bonuses here and there. Now, generally on any type of set like accuracy, speed, offense, defense, whatever, I'm going to want to keep stats that relate to that set. So for example, on an accuracy set, I'm going to want an accuracy stat because the bonus adds up way more that way if I'm going to use a complete set. Broken sets are a whole nother ballgame. So for now, the 6-star accuracy shield, because it's a blue, the best it can roll is 2 crit rate. And from that perspective, it may be worth hanging on to. You know, you can roll it up to 12 and maybe get another good stat in there because it's 6-star. For now, we'll hang on to it. I'll go through them again in a minute once we can compare and contrast a little bit. For this one, we've got a legendary, which could roll a quad stat of any of these substats, so it's worth at least trying to roll it and seeing how it comes out. If by 8 it doesn't hit double crit or hit point and crit or double hit point, then it's probably going bye-bye. This 5-star shield's not really worth hanging on to. We've got flat hit point gloves with bad subs. Definitely not worth hanging on to. Now here's an attack glove, percent glove. This does have accuracy on it. It also has resist, which is a useful bonus stat. But ideally you would want this to roll triple accuracy with attack, and it might be a usable piece. We've got flat defense boots. These are hypothetically usable because it's flat defense with a defense percent substat and speed on boots, but for the most part you're going to throw those away. Flat defense boots, flat attack boots. Okay, I remember poking through his lifesteal collection and it was not super impressive. So here we could roll double hit point, double accuracy, or one of each, and that's actually worth hanging on to. For here we could roll double crit, but with the flat defense, triple crit, but with the flat defense and resist, it's probably not worth hanging on to. Kind of like in playing cards, you want to think about what the best possible outcome of your artifacts is going to be, and then base whether or not you're going to use it on that. Here we could get double defense, double hit point, or one of each. So that's absolutely a possibly usable piece. Here we've got speed and flat defense. I don't think this one's going to be worth hanging on to. And here we've got speed and hit point, which is possibly usable. This is a destroy piece, so it's pretty much trash unless it's got amazing stats, and usually not at all as a rare. But it really depends. Some of the gloves can be. Now these are 6-star crit damage gloves with speed and resist on them. If you can build substats or stats through the rest of your gear to get 100% crit, then you're looking at 85 or 80, whatever it is. Crit damage on gloves with speed, which is not bad at all. So those are possibly very good. Here we've got defense 8% with crit damage and accuracy and flat defense. I don't see these being super useful, so we're going to go ahead and trash them. And here again we've got a flat stat, coupled with flat stats and speed, so yeah, that's trash. More flat attack percent boots with speed. With a double speed roll, these could actually be pretty decent for attack boots. And again, I think of things not necessarily by whether they're going to be good in the set or not, but whether they're good as individual pieces and therefore useful that way. Crit damage and accuracy on a blue shield's nothing impressive. And create substats, but with the flat main stat, those are just not going to be useful unless it was speed. And same here. These have defense, crit damage, and AC on the shield. That's actually pretty decent and worth trying to roll at some point. Flat hit point percent with bad substats, and on a blue, it's not worth hanging on to. Speed, hit point, attack, hit point, attack speed. Avenging by itself is not a set worth using. I've experimented with it, it's not great. Now here is a shining example of a wonderful individual piece. You've got crit damage, crit rate, and hit point on the same piece. You could roll triples, you could roll singles of each or doubles in a single, but however this rolls, it's going to be useful in some way. We got more flat, and we got some decent speed boots with crit damage. Not great, but they are speed boots. So that they'll probably be useful in some form or fashion. Here we've got flat hit point, accuracy and hit point. You don't need that on a weapon, it's just not going to work out right. Crap helm, crap gloves. Defense, crit damage, resist, and hit point. This is potentially usable as an individual piece, but more often than not, I'm going to throw something like this away. Trash. We've got a cruel helm with attack and speed that could be okay, and an immortal helm with defense and flat defense, which is definitely trash. So that's it for the new artifacts that he has farmed up, and I'm going to poke through his general collection here, which he's got a lot more stuff in here now, so let's see what I can do here. I had him switch Kale in as a follow-up to that last video I did where I did the clan boss run. In his first run he did 12 million, so I meant to put Kale in and left Royal Guard in, and so we only showed 1 million improvement in damage, but once you put Kale in, he went up to 12, so that was actually about a 5 million improvement in damage. I got distracted or something silly along those lines, so things happen. I'm going to say Kale here is pretty impressively geared. Because he's running a speed comp, these stats are excellent for clan boss. The only exception is his accuracy is a little low. Let's see if maybe he doesn't have an accuracy banner on, and if he has one laying around, which he does not. So Spider is another area that he's been struggling with a little, but he has good heroes for it. I may take a look at that here in a bit. With the exception of putting an accuracy banner on Kale, I don't really see much I would change here. I may put crit gloves on him instead of defense, but honestly this isn't a bad spec for Nightmare and higher. Most of your damage is going to come from War Master procs and poison, so the important thing is getting the accuracy up and worrying about the other stats later on. I'm really impressed with how his Kale is geared here, so we're not going to poke at him at all. Let's see, I feel like Royal Guard maybe needed more work than anybody else. It's important that he has 100% crit rate, very high attack, and very high crit damage. So the first thing I'm going to look at is what kind of neck we have on here. And so I would change this out to a crit damage neck if he has one, which he does. I am not super familiar with Royal Guard's kit, so I'm poking through it real quick. Because he is one of the heroes I have never pulled. So he does need a good bit of accuracy if you can cram it in there. We'll look at that as we go along here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is, since I know he needs accuracy, I'm going to go ahead and poke through his collection here and see if I can maybe drop a little bit of hit points or keep it the same and then pick up crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy. Attack would be a bonus, but I'm not chasing it right now. So the first thing I'm looking for is hopefully some crit rate gloves. Even though I would really like to use those crit damage gloves. Let's see what I can do here. See if I can work some magic. So he's got the 60% defense chest. I think that's probably the first place that I'll look. I'll see what I can do here. Now, if you're going to use a resistance chest, which a lot of people will, you're going to need at least a percentage stature roll. Looks like he's drowning in resistance chests. But some of these are potentially worth rolling. This one is really not. That one could be, hypothetically, if you needed in a clutch spot. Alright, so it doesn't look like an accuracy chest is going to be an option. But I will continue poking through here and seeing what I can come up with. He may be using him on his arena team, which is why he's got Divine on here, but if we've got to break that up and do something else, we'll go ahead and do that. But what I'm really looking for is crit subs and crit damage subs on everything. So here's a good example of that. Let's see what this weapon is. So it's got speed, accuracy, attack, and crit rate, but we need more crit. And our best potential item for that is going to be right here. Take this one up to 12 real quick and see how things turn out. All percentage substats are nice to see, but you're not always going to get them. On epics or above, it's worth trying to roll for a triple chance. See right away there, I got 2 crit, and it does have the crit damage and hit point to supplement it, so that's pretty good. It's on an accuracy set, so if I run 2 pieces, then I'm making up some accuracy just by putting this on and running this set. And the more crit damage I can get on other pieces, or crit rate I can get on other pieces, then the more likely it is that I'll be able to use crit damage gloves. For someone like Royal Guard, who does damage based on enemy max hit point, crit damage is his bread and butter. So, let's see. Now, I did not have an accuracy chest that was going to work. And this Immortal Helm, while not bad, is not an ideal piece for Royal Guard. So I'll see what we have laying around here. Again, I'm looking for crit rate, crit damage, and preferably attack. So something like this helm here. And we'll give this a roll and see if we can get lucky. And we are either way about it, improving both accuracy and crit rate doing this. Crit damage is going to come along, especially if I can get those gloves on him, and then with how his masteries are done. And that's another thing I'm going to go over in this video, is we're going to poke at some of his different masteries and see if we can use those to help in both clan boss and dungeon runs. And we'll just have to see how it goes. Now, for this piece, an even split wouldn't be bad. I was hoping for maybe double crit rate, crit damage, or double crit damage, crit rate. I will take one of each if that's all I can get. I'm not going to complain. Even with the 5% crit rate, that's going to be an improvement. So, either way, this is going to be a serious upgrade for his Royal Guard, which is good things. I remember Royal Guard being the one hero that I really wanted to go after, because he can single-handedly make some serious improvements all the way around in the game. Although I did recommend he drop him from Clan Boss, and that was a good help. He's not the worst hero that there is for Clan Boss. And I do have a habit when I'm gearing of just kind of going through, and if I'm like, ooh, this piece looks good, then I'll roll it and I'll put it on. but I do like to poke around a little bit to see if there are other changes that can be made. For this hero in particular, crit damage, crit rate, and attack is what's really going to get him through. So that's kind of what I'm going after here. And here we're getting crit damage, crit rate, and it's all looking good. I may end up having to run a broken set to get his speed back up, but these boots are terrible. So you don't want to use flat stats on the bottom three unless there is just some seriously compelling reason to do so. Now, another thing about when I am gearing a hero is that I will often go through and get the things to 12, which gives me a good idea of the base stats, and then once I've done that, I'll go ahead and roll everything up to 16. So for right now, I'm looking for some more crit rate, and I'm going to need crit rate on a shield. And whereas I'd like to be able to use accuracy, that's not strictly necessary. So ideally we'll use some cruel here. And here's another thing. I notice he has all these curing pieces here. Let me show you what I'm going to do with these curing pieces. Because even as individual pieces, because these are all blue, I'm not seeing any epics here, this is what I'm going to do with curing. There is nothing about anything less than an epic or legendary curing piece that's going to make it worth using. It's just not. So there's that. Made some room there. I am going to go through all these artifacts. I'm not going to go through all these artifacts in one video. So right now, the idea is to give you guys an idea and to poke through and see if we can hook up this Royal Guard with some killer stats and then maybe do a spider slaying. So here's a Cruel Shield. It's got accuracy, speed, crit damage, and crit rate. This is absolutely perfect for a hero like Royal Guard, especially because it is of the Cruel set. 5% ignore defense is no joke on an attack hero like this. What I'd really like to see is at least one crit rate roll. We are going to roll this one all the way up to 16, so see how it goes. Again, I'd take an even split on all the rolls here, or doubles and something, but I need at least one crit rate. But even if I don't get it, I still may end up running crit rate gloves on his Royal Guard. It takes some pretty serious gearing and even some luck to be able to run crit damage gloves with a hero that you also need 100% crit on. So there's just no telling until you get in there and geared and then start rolling pieces to see how things are going to work out. This did roll well. I can't complain about this being like it is at 12. Hopefully it will eventually one day roll its way up to 16 and we can see how things work out. But I would absolutely, there are very few heroes that I would not use a piece like this on. This is pretty much perfect substats, and no matter how it rolls, you're not going to be disappointed unless you have a hero that doesn't need accuracy. I just finished gearing Mountain King. Well, he's not finished, but I just finished my base gearing of Mountain King, and he doesn't need accuracy. So every time I was hitting an accuracy sub on a good piece, I was growling and borking a little bit because it was just frustrating as fuck. Hopefully by the time I have a cigarette rolled, this fucking item will also be rolled. There we go. And look at that, I got my crit rate roll. Woohoo. So this is an absolutely godly piece. I would give a lot to have a cruel set piece that had these stats on it, and even one that rolled like this. I'm super impressed. For the most part, as long as your main stats are correct and that you have the right percentage stats on your bottom three pieces, and you know what you're looking for in substats for a certain hero, then a lot of the time gearing just gets a whole lot easier. and it helps you to keep up with what pieces you want to hang on to or use or whatever. So hopefully I can find a good piece here to complement this cool shield I just rolled. But as you can tell, his stats have already come a long way. I may not be able to hit 100% crit without putting crit gloves on, but I might be able to get pretty close. We'll see. This one's looking pretty tempting, actually, this accuracy chest. Plus that solves some issues. Because of the cruel stat bonus, I'm still going to make up some attack, and it does have an attack percent roll on it. So I'm going to keep that under consideration right now. I was hoping maybe he had some speed boots from the set I could throw on there. Alright, so if these had crit on them, I would roll them just for the chance. But without a single or double crit roll on crit damage gloves with the way that I'm currently gearing this character, that's not going to work. Sometimes you can get away with not having crit on crit damage gloves, but often you need crit on every single piece to make that 100% happen. So what I am going to do is roll this accuracy chest, because that's going to give Royal Guard here the accuracy he needs to land his debuffs. Because it's cruel set, that's going to increase his damage, and it looks like we're getting lucky on crit damage, so if we get some crit rate as well, it'll be looking pretty good. A lot of people complain about resistance, and I guess I did for quite a while too. I wasn't terribly happy with it, and then once I started creeping into in-game gearing, I started looking for resistance more and more and more, which you guys will see when I do my video on Criskin Mountain King. I've been kind of waiting until I was really happy with them before I went ahead and did the video, so, well, that's pretty awesome. So I'm going to roll this one all the way up, because it rolled very well, and it's a usable piece even if Royal Guard drops it at some point. Another thing we're going to do is once I finish going through and gearing here, is we're going to take a look at his masteries like I promised, and we will see if we can make any improvements there to make him a stronger hero all the way around. Assuming I can afford to roll this chest, it looks like it's going to get expensive. One thing I've also noticed, which is probably intuitive to most folks, but didn't make much sense to me, is no matter the number of stars on an item, the rarity affects how hard it is to roll. So that makes sense, but it is, after playing the game for a year, it's something that I am sure of. A gray piece rolls a hell of a lot easier than a legendary piece. That's just all there is to it. So let's hope for one more crit rate here. Oh, we got it. Look at that. I've learned to be very specific with RNGesus. It tends to help me out. I don't know why. But, maybe it'll help you guys out too. So now we're sitting at an in-game number for accuracy. That's enough for any level 20 dungeon. We're at 57 crit and 60, so 121 crit rate. We can definitely make some progress from here. So the next thing I need to find is some speed boots. I don't think Immortal is a terrible set to choose here, but I was just looking through for the basic stats. Alright, so only got 4-star speed boots there, so that's kind of whatever. But there's a bunch of trash in here. So go ahead and clear out the trash, any flat stats, any percentage mods. that don't look potentially rollable. This one actually does look like it could be rollable even without speed. Now, one thing I've noticed is that there are a lot of people out there that don't care about speed on items. I'm not one of those people. I like all of my heroes to be fast, so... But sometimes there's good ones out there. Because these are capped and glyphed, I'm not going to delete them in case they're somewhat special to him, but normally I would delete these boots. They never would have made it to even the first roll. Flat stat, defense, those are trash. Those could potentially be somewhat useful somewhere. Flat stats. That's a very nice resistance chest right there. That's possibly usable. Trash, trash. That's actually not a bad roll. I mean, like I said, you don't generally want to use flat stats, but since he's already got it rolled, might as well hang on to it because it's not a terrible piece. Okay, sadly this one is not worth hanging on to. Just making the executive calls here. It's a pretty good piece. As far as it goes, at least it's got the double crit roll. By virtue of being an uncommon, you get sold. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clear that out of his immortal. Since we were in there, might as well clear it out. Now I've got to find some good speed boots. I'm not even worried about set bonus at this point. I just need good speed boots. Set bonus would help, don't get me wrong, but you guys get to listen to the garbage pickup. Sorry for the shrieking garbage truck. Alright, so I did find some decent speed boots here in his divine speed. We'll see if maybe we can make a two-piece out of there. Okay, these are just flat terrible. Get rid of those. Remove temptation. And we've got hit point gloves. More flat stats. Alright, so those divine speed boots are nice, but if at all possible, I'm going to want to find a set bonus here to kind of improve these stats. And it looks like if I can do it in the crit set, then I can make up the crit rate that I'm missing to get him pretty close to 100. And we'll just kind of go from there. Speed wouldn't be a bad option either. I'm going to come back through here and clean this out later. It's just something that caught my eye. Because this video is already running way longer than I anticipated. Alright, so it does look like I'm probably going to have to run a broken set to get some good speed boots in. And I may have to put him to work farming common speed boots just so he has them around. If there's one thing you need in this game, it's going to be speed boots. And you guys may have noticed that I am super methodical in how I go through in Gear Heroes, I kind of take it a piece at a time and then build off that piece and then build on to the next piece and so on and so forth. I did see in Toxic there a potentially perfect pair of boots for what I'm trying to do here. So we'll go back to that in a minute. I just wanted to poke through real quick and see if maybe there was anything else that looked more promising, you know, preferably a legend or an epic. Those are also nice, so I'll have to compare those with the other speed boots I just saw, and then there was the divine speeds, which didn't have. So it looks like we are going to end up running a broken set here for boots, but if I get lucky on rolls, let's see, I'm still probably going to have to use crit gloves, it looks like. Unless there's some spectacular crit damage gloves with crit rate hidden somewhere. So we'll see how that goes. So here I've got 5 crit damage, 5 crit rate, and then in Toxic. Alright, here in Toxic I saw a thing. So these are 6 crit damage, 6 crit rate. I'm not going to complain about the 1 extra. So we're going to go ahead and roll these up and go ahead and use them. I mean, like I said, it's preferred to use match sets on heroes, but it's just not always going to happen. Sometimes you got to gear for stats. Royal Guard is definitely a hero that you want to gear for stats. So we're making as much progress as we can as far as doing that and seeing what kind of difference we can make. Lucky enough to get 2 crit rate rolls on blue boots, which means I'll get 2 fresh substats as these roll the rest of the way up, which is pretty exciting. That helps a ton, and that will let me get away with crit damage gloves if I can find them with even a base crit stat. They're not even going to need a crit roll necessarily to be very good. But, well, I mean, they'll need like I said, a crit substat, but not necessarily a roll in that crit substat. So we'll see how this goes once these are capped out and equipped. So not terrible, at least I got that 18% crit rate. It's going to make a difference. It does make him easier to gear, and that speed kind of makes up the difference that we were lacking. Ideally, he would be a little bit faster, but at minimum, because you're going to use him for... I mean, you're going to use him in a lot of places, but on average, he needs to be at least faster than 150 speed. So we are sitting quite nicely over 150 speed, still over 30k hit points. It would be nice to get 10% more crit speed if possible, but we're going to lose a lot of hit points, so I'll have to just kind of see what we can do here. The thing is I only need 10% crit, so if I can find some crit damage gloves that have a crit sub, it's going to put us pretty close to where we're want to be at. So hang with me just a little bit longer while I poke through all these gloves here, and we will see if we can find crit damage gloves with a crit substat and get this Royal Guard into beast mode. It might not happen, so it'll leave us with, oh, would you look at that. So if I can get, well, I'd need a double crit rate roll here. And the biggest problem here is I'm going to lose way too many hit points. Damn. This would be 26k. So that's putting us in a dangerously low hit point zone, but we may be able to make up those stats somewhere. Let's kind of see how these roll. and then maybe poke through accessories and see if we can make up the hit points we need there. But I need at least one crit rate roll, so let's see. There we go. These are fantastic lifesteal gloves. My Julie would probably murder at least like an elementary school's worth of kids just to get these gloves on. I only use Julie in very specific compositions, but damn, these would be nice on her. Okay, so those rolled about as well as I could have hoped. Preferably the defense roll would have gone into crit rate, but still, these are in the land of usable gloves now. And Royal Guard's going to be pretty monstrous, assuming I can make up the hit points that I'm missing through either a banner or a ring. Trying to think. We're just going to have to try them out, I think. And just kind of see how it works out. But these are absolutely amazing gloves. You've got crit damage gloves with crit rate, hit point, and defense, all percent stats, and we rolled attack on very low stat. These are just flat fucking amazing gloves. The only thing that would have made them better is a triple crit rate roll. Then everybody in the game would have been willing to murder for them. So this is going to make a huge difference to Royal Guard stats. I did come up 5% crit short of 100%, but we're at 192% crit damage, 195 accuracy, a good bit of speed. Attack doesn't look terrible, so we're in good shape here. Now what I'm hoping is that somehow here, miraculously through accessories, we'll make up a good bit of the hit point that we're short, although 26k isn't too bad as far as hit points go. He actually has a good bit of defense, so we'll see how this goes. What I would like is to see something with percentage stats, like attack, and hit point. So depending on how that rolls, it's a potentially serious upgrade. That's a good neck, but not great. One thing to keep in mind is if I did have a full crit damage neck on him, that's another 32 to 40% of crit damage. So that puts us in the sweet spot for where you want to be for someone like him or Coldheart. I think I may actually just sacrifice the accuracy to get the crit damage. But we'll see. First I'm going to mess with this ring I saw. Let's see what we can do here. And keep in mind too that not every item is rolled to max, so these stats are going to improve. What I was kind of hoping to see here was a double attack roll, but I'll take a single. There we go. And we'll go from there. This ring will be a solid upgrade from the one that he currently has equipped. Ah well, can't win them all. So this is a slight hit point upgrade, but by the time it's capped out, it will just be a flat upgrade. But since it's so negligible right now, I'm going to hold off on equipping it. It'd be cool to pick up some more hit points on him. And because of the accuracy chest, I can get away with that. But I don't want to lose that much attack if I can avoid it. So I'm going to leave that like it is for now. This this is probably worth the crit damage upgrade, but I'm just going to kind of leave things as they are for now because I've given you guys an example of what it's like for me to gear a hero. As you notice, the only things that he still has on, that he had on when I approached this character, are the accessories. We have pretty greatly improved his stats. By the time everything's glyphed, he should be right up to about 30k hit points. Good numbers all the way around. And then we're going to poke through his masteries real quick. Aha. And this is also going to make a huge difference in how Royal Guard performs. Now, I am not an owner of the legend that is Royal Guard, but I have done quite a bit of research on him. So, what I'm going to do is go through here and standard DPS debuffer masteries. The problem is that I don't know absolutely everywhere he's going to use him. However, because Spider is the place where he excels the most, or in-game dungeons, that's kind of the spec that I'm going to go for here, and then if it needs to be changed later on, it can be changed later on. He needs the crit damage mastery, so figure out what I can do to make that a thing. Let's see. So I'm going to kind of approach it this way, and we will see what kind of progress we can make. And from here, see if we can creep over. Which means I'm going to have to take both of these masteries to do so, and then get that crit damage mastery. That leaves me with a lot of options as far as everything else goes, but the most important thing for him is getting that extra crit damage, because you want that enemy max hit point skill to absolutely destroy things, and that's what it's going to do. Because he's not getting used in Clan Boss, and rotations aren't as important everywhere else, although they're still important, we'll go with the, what's that? I find Evil Eye to actually be a pretty seriously useful mastery. I use it quite a bit. Master Hexer's cool and all. Because he's got that defense debuff, it's totally worth it. I'm going to poke back real quick and see what his skills look like. So he is not booked, but that decreased defense is pretty useful. And then we've also got decreased speed that can proc. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and Master Hexer this guy. And that leaves me the rest of the scrolls to do with in the damage tree, because there's nothing else from support I really need. So let me see. I think I want to go ahead and maybe get Ruthless Ambush. Oh yeah, okay. So I am going to... It'd be nice to take the extra damage from Heart of Glory or Grim Resolve. Although Grim Resolve is, I find to be pretty much useless. But because I really do think I want that Ruthless Ambush, so we're going to go for that. So I'm going to take the increased damage to shield, and then Ruthless Ambush, because that's just a ton of freaking damage. And then Cycle of Violence has become one of my favorite DPS masteries, period. So as you'll notice, his spec is completely different here, but there are reasons for that. His all-around utility has increased greatly, and his stats have also increased greatly. Alright, so here we go. As you can see, we're sitting at 212 crit damage now, 95% crit rate. 25k hit points, 3500 attack. I basically transformed this Royal Guard from mediocre to monster status, and he still has a lot of potential upgrades. A lot of gear that needs to be finished rolling, and then some things to switch out. You want a crit damage neck on him. At this point, a good hit point banner with attack subs or attack banner with hit point subs would be a good improvement. And glyphs obviously will make a huge difference. But I do appreciate anybody that stuck with me this far and seen how I geared this guy. And look forward to the next one. Thank you all.